All right, all right, all right. There we go. And we are now live. And now we're also recording here from the headquarters of The Spark, the headquarters of Conceit Media. Clayton Hester here, your friendly neighborhood creativity news guy and innovation news guy. And so we're streaming at you live here from the headquarters. The headquarters. This is Studio A. There's Studio B downstairs. It also happens to be a library, a personal library, not public, but the multi-purpose spaces. That's the future, right? All of that good stuff in mind. We're going to start things off today, as always, with our little newscast from Conceit Media, our little newscast for all things The Spark, because we're following and covering a good number of items today, and wanted to fill you in on what is happening, what is new there. And so, good morning, everybody. It is a good morning indeed, and certainly by the time some of you see this as we play it back throughout the day, it'll be afternoon and evening. So, good afternoon and evening to all of you as well. But in the meantime, we'll be streaming here, and again, just wanted to remind you, in case you stumble onto this and you didn't get here because of the Spark, head on over to www.thespark.buzz, and that is where we have all of our good news and newsletter information, all of that creativity news, that content that is meant to make you a cutting-edge creative, make you sharper, and to hone those creativity skills. That's the idea. That's the premise. And I think we can get there together, and iron sharpens iron, as they say, and so hoping to get there together. And one of the main stories that we're following here is that former Google CEO Eric Schmidt is talking about how AI is going to revolutionize science, right? So he's talking about how basically through NVIDIA, NVIDIA has created this digital twin of the planet, right? And this allows them to then forecast extreme weather events. This clone of Earth is extrapolated upon. It collects all this data, puts it together, creates an image of where the Earth is going, and then this is called ForecastNet. Could revolutionize meteorology, of course, if we're able to predict where the hurricanes are, where the climate change is happening. Think about the implications of this. If we knew where tornadoes were going to strike, if we're looking specifically at America, right? We're looking at here in Tornado Alley here in the Midwest. If we knew when those were going to hit us, we could hunker down, make plans to be out of town, that sort of thing. And the same is true for the Gulf of Mexico, East Coast. Whenever there's hurricane season, people can make plans to be out of town whenever a hurricane comes through. Those sorts of things really could be a game changer if there is that much data to forecast things that far in advance. And so there's this trickle-down effect from the science. If the science is changing, then the economics are changing, the culture is changing, the interactions, daily way that we go about our lives are changing altogether. And so that's the possible implications there of these AI forecast models, these forecast nets. And so this process of science, of innovation, that sort of predictive technology, something like meteorology that we all love to get a good eye on, right? So that we know how to make plans, how to do things. It's just one window into the predictive capability of AI, and that really gets to an interesting level, because if you know when the rain is going to be at your door, you know when to take a walk, when to drive, when not to drive, those sorts of things. Our behavior just changes according to this level of knowledge that we get, and the knowledge ecosystem, the data ecosystem, is going to change whenever we have these minds, these AI minds that are specifically dedicated towards this sort of thing, geared towards this sort of thing, and smarter than us at thinking about it. So that is a very important consideration as we look ahead to the future. In another item of particular interest, we're looking at how Spotify founder and CEO Daniel Ek, he's got a new startup going preventative health care, and he has received investments up to $65 million, and well, it was 60 million euros, and so because they are over yonder across the pond. But the business is called Nico Health, and it's gained backing from some of the people in the industry, Lakestar, Atomico, and General Catalyst. And so this is interesting change. We'll be looking at that to see how it goes. But again, it's a story of predictive AI algorithms, generative stuff. So the algorithms instantly detect potential skin conditions, even identify the risk of cardiovascular disease. And so, listen, this sort of biofeedback, very important for where things are going, right? Google Lens, right, is now gearing towards the ability to look at spots on your skin and say, hey, look, this might be something you got to get checked out by a doctor, and so that's also something to be mindful of, is that these different lenses are absorbing that preventative aspect, the health biofeedback aspect. So we know more about ourselves because lenses that were completely unrelated, just meant to help me, look up what kind of plant this is, right, or something like that Google Lens would do, or what kind of obscure antique this is I found at the store, something along those lines. That those items, those purposes are the original purposes, but now they have a whole new life that is achieved here within the context, within the new confines of this absorption, this convergence of potentials. And so that's happening. That's been something new, something different that is happening in our world. And so algorithms detecting skin conditions, detecting cardiovascular disease, and whenever we have Fitbits, right, that are tracking our heart levels, tracking our different dynamics, social, not socially, but health-wise, those are transforming the way we live and breathe and move, and hopefully giving us more to go off of in terms of being smarter about our health. And so Twitter is going to have a new competitor with Threads, which is from Meta, and that's launching tomorrow. We just actually got to the 24-hour mark on the countdown. They're on their website. They are heading towards launch there on 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning, tomorrow. Well, not Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, tomorrow morning. It's happening on July 6th. And so that is going to be interesting. Whether or not this poses a threat to Twitter, I guess that depends on who you are. We know, we heard the whole conversation around Mastodon as a competitor to Twitter, so we don't hear as much about that. Whether or not that means it's true or not, it may just be, our attention deficit kicking in, where we don't follow through on what that means, that it's no longer in the public eye. That could be something as well. And so always important to think about those sorts of contextual pieces, whether or not that Twitter is in a situation to bounce back from some of the different things, whether it was ever in that much jeopardy at all. That's the real question, whether it was just the buzz. That's kind of always an interesting thing too, whenever Twitter or any company that is like Twitter, where it allows for public conversation, kind of these uproars of conversation to emerge, and then in turn create a dynamic of, well, I guess kind of just this uncertainty, or maybe the bullhorn is got a feedback loop within it that causes it to become louder, and so forth. And so all of that to say, we'll see. We'll have to watch it play out, and it'll be interesting to see the clash of these social media titans. Another conversation. July 4th is wrapped up. We have moved to July 5th. That day when all the pieces and parts have to be cleaned up. The parachutes have to be gotten off of the roof, and all of those sorts of things. The smoke balls go down the drains, and all those different things. But are drones going to become the new pyrotechnics? Because some cities are replacing their fireworks displays with drones. Is that going to be the future of how we celebrate Independence Day? Is that going to be the thing, the eco-friendly alternative, something that we do as these sorts of ways to, bring in the public and altogether bring in optical, kind of excitement, those different public and spectacles and so forth. But is that going to be the way to do it? Maybe eventually we bring in holographs, that sort of thing. That could always be fun too. All those are possible. We've got another story, and this one is one that I've been thinking about. Well, it's in the context of something I've been thinking about. What if we created news as a two-way pipeline, right? Instead of just bringing the information, bringing the news, and delivering it to people, it became an opportunity for problem solving. So there are these models of crowdsourcing. Innocentive is one model of crowdsourcing different solutions, those sorts of things. These are ways of simply bringing, probably most often, company problems to the public and saying, hey, look, we want some solutions to this sort of thing, some help with this sort of thing. So what the Spark is doing now is experimenting with the idea of crowdsourcing solutions to the news's problems. So, I follow an entrepreneur named Sean Purry, and he once made the remark, and although he's worked at newsletters and things like that, news and stuff like that, the news is basically bringing other people's problems and making them your problems, which to a good degree is true, which has kind of informed my philosophy of going into building a news organization. And so part of that I have thought of is what if we took the problems of the news and made them into challenges? What if we brought the issues that people are facing into a new light, where they are opportunities for us to exercise our creative problem solving? And so that's been part of it. I've got a section of the Spark today called Crowd Solve. And so the issue I brought was regarding St. Paul Island. It's in the Bering Sea, and this island is dependent upon its snow crab industry. And the snow crabs are disappearing because of climate change. It's causing the environmental shakeup, ecosystem shakeup. And so this is causing decline in tax revenue, basic functions, those sorts of things. And this may be one where perhaps we have a spin-off newsletter or something like that really gets into the weeds more than a short newsletter can do. But that's also something to think about, is that these sorts of things present opportunities. What do we do for something like this, where nature is causing such a shakeup, causing such a problem for this island, this isolated community that is dependent upon these pieces all fitting together and making it work for them, making the system work? And so those are opportunities perhaps for us to exercise creative problem solving. You can go to www.thespark.buzz. You can sign up for the newsletter, hit reply, and let us know, because hey, this is something where I imagine if once we get people engaged, we can then proceed to communicating these sorts of solutions with the people that are best able to execute them. And so that's been part of the philosophy of that, part of what we can do with that, part of where I see that going. And so that's part of it. And one of the other things you can do while you're at www.thespark.buzz, and that is kind of a mouthful, but hey, we've got it going. Head on over there, and you can look at the very top. At the very top, you'll be able to see our group, our community, Spark Space. Click on that. You can head on over to Discord and join it there. Discord, if you don't have it yet, it's an amazing spot because there's so much that can be integrated into it. Right now, I'm being able to integrate some of the top trending stories to auto-post there, different items that can be communicated and delivered through Discord and brought into it. And I'm working on a bot, really, that helps to actively brainstorm solutions to various problems to help guide people through the creative process, to help sharpen that cutting edge, that creative edge. And that's going to be part of what we do in Discord as well, is to come up with ideas, to make it a creativity laboratory, to just make it a spot not only where you've always got a mind that's a chatbot language model based, where you can always be bouncing ideas back and forth, but also a spot where other people see your idea and openly dialogue with it. They're like, hey, look at that, what if you did this idea, and so creating these entire grids of creativity, these ideation grids where one idea leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And it's interesting because I founded a writing group once, and in this writing group there was a little bit of a discussion about kind of the question of whether people would steal one another's ideas. And SparkSpace is going to have a system in place to figure that out. And that may be one of our first orders of business, is to get together and have everybody brainstorm collectively and solutions to that sort of problem. But within that, the solution that I see it, really just a collaborative effort. But within that writing group, there was concern about whether people would steal one another's ideas. Oftentimes, I find it interesting because I don't know that I know anybody that actively sets out to steal other people's ideas. In my opinion, usually the people that have enough gumption and willpower to actually make anything also have the gumption and willpower to come up with something original. And it's most often my finding, or at least it seems to me, that people are just too lazy to to steal other people's ideas and run with them. Just because finishing anything takes passion, and if you don't have that original passion, then that may be the culprit there. But that may be my cynical view of but it also has good implications. Hopefully that people are honest and not pilfering other people's visions. So that's all things to consider, but in due time, and we'll get to that. But go over to www.thespark.buzz, and if you haven't already, subscribe and join us there. And we will be, as always, bringing you every weekday new stories of the creative process of innovation playing out around us, all to hypercharge your pattern recognition software that's just hard-coded into your brain, right? The ability to stay curious, to see the world around you, and just have that beautiful brain of yours piece it together. And once you get into the habit of just letting your mind just take it all in, put it all together, creativity just becomes the air we breathe, the water we swim in. It's just like a bird and a fish in the water, and the bird in the air and the fish in the water. But you know how it is. Sometimes it's vice versa. But all of that together, pattern recognition, those sorts of things. We want to hypercharge your creativity, and that's the goal of the Spark. www.thespark.buzz. Head on over there, and part of it too was that we'll be bringing you updates about how Conceit TV, this thing right here you're watching, becomes much more than just a few pieces of media on loop constantly. It will soon, with your help, become a 24/7 news channel, AI-driven, crowdsourced news-driven, bringing together all of this good information, turning it into a faucet, a pipeline of information and inspiration. And so that's going to be the Conceit TV, and in the future, it'll be brought about as this new next generation of what linear TV is. This turn it on, and you're inspired by something new. Turn it on and you're surprised at what you see, and it gets your mind going, gets you inspired. All those different things. That is what the Spark is here for. That is what Conceit TV is here for. And we want to make it possible, and so we want to help. We want your help in making that possible. So head on over to the Spark, www.thespark.buzz. You can subscribe to the newsletter there to get updates on that, and join SparkSpace, the Discord, there on the top of the website, and you'll be able to participate actively in helping to build it. You can become a part of our online community, and we will build it together. And so I want to thank you all for joining me this morning. I really do appreciate your time. Anytime you spend with me, your time is valuable, and so are you. And so I appreciate you all joining with me here and being with me. And so I hope that you got something out of this and get something out of the Spark and get something out of Conceit TV, because we're going to make it big. We're going to make something new happen very soon, something really interesting I think you'll want to stick around for. So until next time, Clayton Hester signing off